Hello and welcome to Eagle Rock Hi-Fi. I'm going to make a video here about this really cool receiver here. Quickly, just about myself. I've been collecting vintage audio gear now for a long time, and I've amassed quite the large collection of really cool stuff. Um, so much stuff I could probably open a museum or a store or something, but I'm just not interested in that. So with this collection a few years ago, I was planning to move. There were some work things going on and so forth. So I decided to let almost all of this stuff go by selling it off. So I started making some videos so I could kind of keep some of the memories even after I've sold it. So that changed a few times. Over the past few years, a couple of moves and work changes were canceled, so it threw a wrench into that. But I'm nearing retirement, and it's a few years away, so I decided I'm going to continue to make these videos and post them for the enjoyment of others, for reference, and share the really cool vintage stuff. So let's start off here. Usually I make the videos, I don't talk during the videos or anything like that, but I figured what the heck, there's a lot more to be said about these things than what can just be shown in a brief video. So let's start off with this vintage LXI series receiver. So it's very, very rare, the model. So LXI series, that series in itself is kind of rare. It was made sold through Simpson's Sears, the famous Sears, and it was pretty good quality. There are some fans out there for this stuff, but this model number, model 539-100, what is it? 539-10100. Very rare model. However, when I had this unit open to clean the potentiometers and give it a general dust out and so forth, minor servicing, I did notice, and I made sure I marked it down because I forget these things, but this unit was in fact a Sanyo unit. Inside the markings are Sanyo, so I'm betting that there's a Sanyo model out there that's more populous, that is probably looking the same and everything, just with Sanyo labeling on it. But research on the LXI models are quite comes up with not much info. So this one is from the analog digital transition era. I'm going to guess probably 1978 to 1981 kind of thing, leaning more towards probably 1978, 79, because of the faux wood casing, which is actually quite good. Normally the covers are cheap, and just I don't know. There's just something about this metal wood case where the wood grain is the fake wood grain's a little bit better. It's a heavier duty case cover. Just something about it seems just a little bit higher quality than what I'm used to seeing. Sort of like the Marantz. In fact, probably even better than the Marantz. The cover, for the wood look and everything. So around that time, they were transitioning to digital. Digital was starting to be, everything was going digital. It was just the latest and greatest thing. So, but again, the analog was hanging on. So, sort of transitional phase. This one is still, quite good quality. It's about 26.5 pounds. The measurements, including the knobs and the antenna in the back, is roughly about 18.5 in width. Or no, actually, let me think here. Yeah, probably about, I think it's about 17 width. I measured in 17.5 depth, including the knobs and the antenna, and about 6 inches, less than 6 inches, probably 5 3/4 height. So it's quite impressive build quality. In fact, the knobs are metal knobs. You know, they got the plastic inserts on them, but metal knobs. They've got some good weight to them, and they are metal. They're not plastic. Including the equalizer sliders. They're also metal. So brushed metal. This unit here is in really nice shape. It's very much looks like new. Could pass as new. Of course, a couple of really minor scratches or whatever. Really not worth even mentioning. But yeah, really nicely featured unit. I'll say again, with the Sanyo markings on the inside, that was common practice back in those days to do what private labeling. Companies are still doing it today. It's a standard part of business. A company like Sanyo will produce their own product, but somebody will approach them like Sears and they'll say, hey, can you do some private labeling for us? We're going to feature our own line and call it the LXI series. And Sanyo, they made a deal, and it's happened with a lot of companies. In fact, back in those days, there were companies that were strictly private labeling. I remember a company called Foster Electronics was doing it for Realistic. So, and I believe they were doing it for other brands. Same thing with the turntables. CEC was cranking out turntables. I think they did even do some of their own, but mostly they were doing private labeling for companies like Marantz and Pioneer. So back in those days, even these lines like LXI and Realistic, they were on the shelves right next to Pioneer, Sansui, Marantz, and so forth. So they were no slouch. They were still good units. In fact, some of them were, I would say, superior in some of the models and years that they were putting things out. So, so let's just let's see if there's anything else to be said on this. I'm just trying to think here. Oh yeah, on the inside, the build quality was very good. So this unit is very standard in build for the digital analog transition era. So very serviceable and all that stuff. So nicely featured unit. I'll be turning it on a little bit here just to give a quick demo, but on the front you can see that there are push buttons for the low and high filter. There's a mono button, loudness, FM mute, tone defeat, the graphic equalizer. There's speakers A and B, so you can run speakers A or B, and then there's an A and B on there. The big volume button in the middle there, and then of course there's a memory button there, and F1 through F5 where you can program some stations. The balance knob is there, and then your tape monitor where you put it in the middle for source, or tape 1 or tape 2. And then of course the functions go from AM, FM, MPX, phono, and auxiliary. There's a record out on there. And of course the power button, and then up top here there is your auto scan tuning, and then stop, and then your manual tuning, and I think that's just your makes it go faster. These buttons here, sort of like a fast forward rather than just going up one at a time. So let's give it a spin here. All right, so on the back, as you can see there, I've marked it Sanyo down there because, like I was saying there, something that I would forget. I would, you open it up, you clean it up, service it, and then years later you think, oh, I think this was made by Pioneer or something, and you forget. So I just marked it Sanyo because essentially it is a Sanyo unit. So the outputs or the inputs on the back match what's on the front there, and then of course your antennas, and this antenna here, and of course a couple of slave power connectors there, plug connections. And then one thing on this unit that I really like, I wish everybody would do, is the speaker terminals for hooking up the speakers are very just very easy to use. They pop it open. There's a nice big hole there for your speaker wire to go in. You could do this in the dark, or in a spot where you just tight spot where you're trying to get the speaker wire in there. And if your speaker wire is a bit bigger, you don't have to fight with twisting it, down to a smaller size or trimming it or something. I was quite impressed. I wish all units were like this instead of the spinning, the twist knobs or whatever. But I really like this right here. All right, so I'm going to I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to turn it on here. So yeah, I'll be right back with that. All right, so here we are hooked up. As you can see there's the FM display there. All the inputs work on this unit, but I don't have an antenna hooked up to the back right now, so I'm not going to turn on the radio. I'm not a big fan of radio anyway. I mean, I listen to the radio, but unless you, I prefer either a phono or a CD or something like that. So right now I've just got it hooked up to, I got an auxiliary hooked up there through an old iPad. So yeah, as you can see there, that's the auto scan, since I don't have an antenna hooked up, but you just hit stop and then you just go manually forward like that. And then of course that's on the FM. So let's go down to the AM, same thing, either scanning for it and then stop when it's close, or one at a time kind of thing. And then this one here is going to fast forward through it. So yeah, that's very simple to use. So let's go over to the auxiliary here so we can hear some music. So there we go. One channel, the other channel. Nice. All right, so that's it for this video. It's a nice vintage unit. Thank you.